And we're back underway with a bit of shenanigans going on around it, but of course it wouldn't be APAC South without a little bit of shenanigans. We go on to IG and WILDCARD. This game here, I really don't know where I sit. To be truthful, on the fence. I think IG have had their opportunity to showcase where they are and who they are, and unfortunately have faltered at most occasions. But WILDCARD recently, Mandy, they have been striving for better, if I'm just being completely honest. They just look like a different team in Stage 2.
Absolutely. I think the wildcard that we saw in Stage 1 is nothing like the one we saw in Stage 2, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be stopping anytime soon, is what we got from the last interview with Vinny as well. WILDCARD, they seem to have made huge progress. Everything is so much better from them, whether it's mechanical skill, whether it's the strat book, whether it's even just teamwork. It feels like WILDCARD are absolutely on top of it, and they're going to be one of these teams that are contending for the Berlin Major.
Well, that is for damn sure. If they're able to take this big old dub, they will actually jump up into equal first place with Elevate. Now that is a terrifying prospect for all the teams that are currently fighting. IG, on the other hand, they are sitting in 6th place. They will only be able to jump up to 3rd, equal with Direwolves at the moment after their previous victory. And it feels like this roster, Dev, I don't want to say they need a helping hand. I don't want to say that, you know, like that they need this win, but I can't really put it any other way.
Yeah, look, they just haven't quite been at where their expectation lies. You know, this is a team full of expectation that just hasn't delivered where they need to in terms of results. They are yet to make it to a major since they reunited with this super team. You know, they canned 3/5 of their roster at the end of last year. They brought on Jigsaw and Nate, the Aussies. They brought on Mentalist, formerly from Fnatic. Like, big hitters, all of them. And that's why when you revamp a team with the name like IG, with heavy hitters like Speakeasy, Hysterics, Jigsaw, you expect results. And maybe you can hide behind the excuse, oh, you know, we were getting to know each other a bit, you know, Stage 1. But Stage 2, you really just don't have any room for excuses anymore. You have to be able to deliver on that hype. Otherwise, you're just another failed super team.
Oh, sure. Sheesh, I tell you what, this is a bit of sauce on it. just to add the toppings on. I can't even do it.
You're right,
go to the vetoes. Yeah, we'll move on to the vetoes because I'm going to end up losing it. Tell you what, bloody hell, super team going back in the garbage. No theme park, no banks, so we've got the more familiar maps that we've seen recently taken out, and we head back to Borrigan. I'm looking forward to this one, honestly. I think that this map in particular kind of leans into either playstyle. You can either be the wild card of the league, or you can be a little bit more aggressive like IG here. And Mandy, what do you make of this when we've kind of, I mean, I look at the two teams as almost opposing playstyles. Where would you land on this?
I think I'd agree with that as well. I think that they are very, very different play styles. IG, it feels like each one of their players are trying to step into the spotlight, whereas for WILDCARD, it feels like only 2 or 3 players in the spotlight being pushed by the other players of the team to be there and to be on that stage and picking up the kills. And I think for a map like Oregon, where it's sort of like a mini clubhouse in a way, where there are so many steps to getting some of those walls open, to getting the hatches open and clearing positions, that I feel like like a methodical approach to the map will favor something like WILDCARD. Dev,
Oregon, where are you leaning?
Look, I think Oregon is a pretty good map for WILDCARD. They have a positive win rate on it, not so for IG. So I think, yeah, in terms of the context of immediate form and this map specifically, I would favor WILDCARD. But if you actually look holistically at the bigger picture, these teams, 2 teams, have played each other 4 times, 3 times in 2021 and once in Stage 1. Every single time it has been Invictus who have won the matchups between these 2 teams. And some of those have been very convincing 7-1, 7-2s. Obviously, it's a far cry from the rosters that these teams had last year. But even in Stage 1, you know, Invictus won 7-5. So I think that while WILDCARD is favored, they have a pretty big like monkey to get off the back, the bogeymen that have always got their number before, and it would be a pretty big breakthrough moment if they can take it to IG here.
A big scalp to take for WILDCARD, no doubt about it, but IG fighting for their hopes to go to the Berlin Major. Both teams are kind of simmering near the mid-table. Let's see whether it will be a WILDCARD day or IG will run away with it. To run you through all of the action, it's Bert and Ernie.
Well, that's a compliment. We'll take it. I've had worse from you, Rob. Big game closed out the night, Guz. Obviously, IG, WILDCARD, 2 teams that honestly on completely different ends of the spectrum right now for this particular stage. WILDCARD have shown that they've made some leaps and bounds improvements from stage 1. IG, it's just more of the same, which so far has not been good enough.
Yeah, and it creates an interesting, I guess, collision course heading into this game. Both teams fighting for survival, fighting for their chance at the top 2. And Oregon will be the battlefield between these two. Historically, IG will win this game, but so many changes, so many variables, and so many of our expectations at this stage have been shattered. So let's see if WILDCARD can perhaps get one back.
All time for a Xenox fun fact. The only 2 teams that have not won in regulation so far this stage, Chiefs and Invictus Game. So, not the company you want to be in if you are IG. 3 points definitely needed if they're wanting to keep up with the top 4 at the moment. Flores banned out, no surprise on Oregon along with Nomad. We get underway our final game of Playday 4, and we are officially past the halfway mark for this stage. So every single point, every single game, so crucial from here on out for the remainder of the stage.
Not too many surprises revealing themselves in the ban phase. I guess perhaps Nomad is a little bit unusual. I actually can't think of a ton of examples where Nomad is useful, but there certainly are some. So seeing her ruled out is not completely unprecedented, but still an interesting thing to note. Flores banned out is pretty expected here on Oregon, especially when you think of those basement clears. And then Kaye to follow up as well, reinforcing that basement site, as well as Mirror. So we'll have to see how things play out. But we are straight away going to second floor. And I can already hear James from his apartment in the city. I can hear him screaming, asking, why are we going here? Because if you missed the last game, it was half a dozen attempts on this site from both teams combined. And not a single one was won by the defense. Not a single one. So we'll have to see whether or not that trend, pardon me, that trend does continue.
Yeah, different game, different teams as well.
And his army as well was left in. So that does change the dynamic and should help bolster the defense.
Let's get underway. Obviously, the precedent has been set for WILDCARD. This is a result, a matchup that they've not had success in recent times, and one that, well, if their major credentials are going to be basically lived out, they need to win this game. Not necessarily in terms of the fact of getting the 3 points or even 2 points, but winning it for the sake of really sort of highlighting that they are here to contend and that they can take down basically any team in this competition. Of course, they honestly got a little bit embarrassed last week in Playday 3. 7-2 loss to the Knights after a great start to the stage, taking down a reinvigorated Fury and taking down the Dire Wolves. But it's this run home that's going to be tough for them. And it begins here with IG, then they've got Elevate, then it's Game and Gladiators, and then they finish off maybe with a freebie against the Chiefs in Playday 7.
WILDCARD looking to get control over towards bedroom, but Mentalist posing a threat. And the main reason I did touch on the army earlier is not so much the case that it wasn't banned out in the last game. It was more so the fact that WILDCARD been banned out in every single one of their games, and they have been the ones forcing that ban. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not WILDCARD counter it on their attacking efforts. But so far, Jigsaw posing a threat over towards lobby, gets the first no trade. WILDCARD scramble to try and find him back, but just continue to feed him ones, and Jigsaw is able to get away.
Yeah, well said. I mean, they're basically just giving him 1v1 opportunities, which is what you don't want. In fairness, good positioning there, I think, for Jigsaw in that lobby position so that he's not going to get too overwhelmed. 9 seconds remaining. It's Invictus that have got the player advantage and obviously can play off of that now back upstairs over towards Kids' dorms, but they do leave Nate down below. There's a trade elsewhere, still a 1-player advantage for IG. Milo's gone, so no more EE1Ds, and Cairo half health, so not the start that WILDCARD would have liked. Drone goes out, Mentalist will get rid of that, wanting to peek outward, but it's Pat that finds the kill onto Speak Easy. WILDCARD, they're not going down too easily here, and they're putting up a fight.
Big pick, and it forced Mentalist back. His coverage not so strong now. Cairo, though, gets swung upon, and Hysterics able to win that fight. Mentalist as well back in the action, and Hysterics closes things out, and it's a pretty solid start for IG.
There's questions though on that round there from WILDCARD. What's the game plan there? in a sense. Didn't seem like they really cared about opening up walls. Obviously had a lot of time left on the clock as well. It's not as if they were, you know, heading into red time or, you know, 20, 30 seconds left on the clock and just sending it on site. They just kept forcing ones, kept forcing peeks through the corridors and the doorways. I think playing right into the hands of IG. I think for Wildcard, just maybe the kind of round where you just want to breathe a little bit, slow things down a little bit, play a little bit more into your style. Don't feel like you've got to be too aggressive up against Invictus. They're downstairs though, so that's Kids Dorms defended successfully for IG. The Amaru from Molosca, surely that gets picked away. I don't see that having much success.
Not on basement. In fact, I'm somewhat questioning why you were bringing it at all, because top 4's now locked out.
Yeah.
I could only assume that maybe it was potentially an in for Wildcard to get quick top tower control, but outside of that, I feel like I'm reaching a little bit as he repicks on to Jackal, and then back to the Amaru, but now on Lion, and now back to Amaru. A lot of action in this prep phase.
No, he's not actually going to stick with this, is he? He is. Well, this is where, and I always love this because, you know, we bring it up and we sit back and we're like, oh, what's with the Amaru? Well, we kind of get to see it now from Milo's point of view. Could be maybe to try and clear big tower quickly.
Yeah, I think that's the play. And they probably have free place drones in this position so that Milo can get this quick control and then look to apply pressure over towards rear pillar. You also do have the option to quickly enter dorms, and there actually is a drone. So Milo's going to enter straight now into Kids and try and get this pick on the roam. There is information, but it's not good enough. And that's 2 freebies going the way of IG.
How many times do we see Amarus just grapple in and die almost instantly? It's such a gamble of a pick. They've lost the Finker as well in Cairo, and it's a dreadful start for Wildcard here on Oregon. Fortunately, it's only 2 rounds, but they have not really been able to get themselves settled, is probably the best way to phrase it. That you don't necessarily hate the mindset here. It seems like they're coming in with game plans and the idea that they want to be fast and they want to be aggressive and they don't want to allow IG to just sit back and have the game on their terms. But it's almost a little bit too frenetic, and you do question some of these decisions that are being made. In saying that, you know, when it works, they look like geniuses, right? If Milo grapples in towards Storms and then finds the kill onto the player, into Kids, and then finds the player onto the kill in Dorms, then suddenly he looks like a genius. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the mantra throughout the stage for Wildcard has significantly shifted towards, you know, being more proactive, being aggressive, swinging your opponents and not allowing yourself to be a victim of the swing. But there is a line that you have to be very careful not to cross. And against IG, if you cross it, I mean, look at the lineup. Some of the best fraggers that APAC South has to offer, Speakeasy, Jigsaw, they can all step up, particularly early round. So Wildcard can't continue to feed picks throughout this match.
Yeah, and Jigsaw, at the moment, the 2nd best rated player in APAC South. Although Milo's actually the 3rd best rated player behind him. Part of that sort of top 4 with Souffle, Sapper. Ape actually falling out of that top 4 with the result earlier today. As we can see, it goes down to Nate, who was still up in Big Tower. This round definitely over. I mean, there's absolutely no way that OJ and Pat can, as a duo, clear basement against Invictus. 38 seconds. They don't have time. They do have the diffuser with Pat, though, over towards back stairs. And if he does win this fight, it does open up the possibility. But no, shut that down immediately by Hysterics, and that will be the round. So a 2-0 start defensively for IG. The one thing I will say, though, is I guess on a map like Oregon, you can, on the attacking side, try things. I mean, realistically, you're expecting the defenders to start well, to play well, and to win rounds for the most part. If you're going to try something, do it on the attack, I guess.
Yeah, that's the first few rounds done, so Wildcard can look to put those behind them. And, I mean, round 1, it was the Jigsaw roam clear, which was ineffective, and then round 2, it was the creativity with the Amaru that didn't pay dividends. And it was a somewhat unlucky. Yes, Wildcard did have really good information, but you do also have to sort of profile the risk of that play, and I think still, even with that information, I don't know if I really back in Wildcard to win that more than they lose it. And unfortunately, on that occasion, they did lose out, and there was a pick elsewhere we didn't see, which snowballed into the round loss. Invictus now, they'll have to go to their tertiary site, and this is where we can often see a game reopen back up, go to this 3rd site. But on a map like Oregon, you don't get too many freebies as an attacker.
No.
Meeting, kitchen, very viable, especially at this kind of a
It's funny because when you break down almost every site, you look at, say, Kid Storms, we refer to it as the tertiary site, the site that, you know, both sides can actually find some success, and that when you look at like Kitchen Meeting, for example, it's a site that generally attackers do quite well on. So when you actually break down the majority of the sites that are played, you're like, oh, actually, attackers actually have a pretty decent chance. Yet lo and behold, defenders just seemingly are always able to, you know, get the edge on Oregon for whatever reason. I mean, even basement, we've seen attackers do a much better job at finding success over the last couple of months, even probably half a year at this point. But it's time for WILDCARD to just bring it back a little bit. I think first 2 rounds, okay, they tried some things, tried to be aggressive, and that fast pace hasn't quite worked out well for them. Doesn't mean you go and do a complete 180 and go the slow turtle approach, but try and find a more middle ground, a balanced approach in your attack. You know, a little bit of fast pace here or there, and bring it back a bit, and try and keep it a bit more controlled, measured, and on your terms.
Yeah, and I really like their composition heading into this round. It very much does adopt that mindset where they have very staple and very safe operators, but then they also have Marlo on that flex on the Lion, which can facilitate some of these clears and a bit of map control, which is always nice to see. And map control there is over towards Showers, WILDCARD on the horizontal, getting to work. So it's a bit of a split push. OJ and the likes now over towards Bedroom, trying to get some presence up above. And I think purely from just a structure standpoint, it's actually a pretty good setup here from WILDCARD. And now it comes down to the execution of that. WILDCARD getting good information, they have the drones in place, now they need to capitalize and actually start withering away some of these defenses.
Yeah, and I think another part as well, the first couple of rounds, they've been losing Molosca very early on. Again, very highly rated player. And I think the kind of player you want to be keeping alive, especially on the line with its EE1Ds. Same with the Finkers. They've been losing their Finker player rather early in these rounds. Cairo hasn't really been able to stay alive for very long either. I mean, even Vincia 0 and 2, who is basically in career best form at the moment. But they are struggling on their entry. First 2 rounds, they got nothing. Third round here, again, slow and measured, but they have still not really been able to find the avenue to success. And it's getting to that 60-second mark, and I think INVICTUS will be pretty happy with the way things are stacking up.
Pat now trying to apply pressure over towards Kids, but Hysterics stamps his authority and gets that diffuser onto the ground. Now flashed out, OJ goes prone, also falls. And it's falling apart in general here for WILDCARD. Molosca in the 1 versus 4 now as he collects the first. And it just seems like whenever they try and execute a play, IG are there ready to just cut them down, one by one by one. And this start has been absolutely incredible for INVICTUS and an absolute disaster for WILDCARD.
Yeah, and this is where, for WILDCARD, I think one of their weaknesses actually is their entry. When you kind of go back and look at some of the stats, for players that have a positive entry in APAC South, WILDCARD only have 1 player, and that's Cairo, which is a +2 entry. Nothing above that. There's like, I want to say like a good 8 players, maybe above Cairo as well, that have even better stats than that, +3, +4. For example, and then there's a whole heap that also are +2, +1. And the fact that for WILDCARD, it's either Cairo or drawing equal or obviously worse is being highlighted here on a map like Oregon. On your attack, you need to have good entry. You need to be able to push into the site and find a kill early and put the defense on the back foot. And that's where they're struggling right now. They're just not able to get into the building and find a kill. It's all onto INVICTUS right now, who are playing really well with their positioning, not giving WILDCARD a look at anything, and not putting a foot wrong, making no mistakes. Pretty clear, clinical defense right now from IG. That's why they're up 3-0, and this is very one-sided at the moment, and there are some concerns, guys, as well, remembering that for Playday 3, WILDCARD lost 7-2 to the Knights. So this is a 2-10 differential now over their last 2 games for WILDCARD, a team that started so well this stage. The last 2 Playdays now have been quite dismal.
And we know from speaking to WILDCARD and some of their players in the past that they have had issues historically in holding on to leads or converting favorable positions, but that was more so isolated in a single best-of-1 setting. It feels like we're starting to get to the point now where we can make a case that that's now seeping into a stage length where they started off really strong, and right when it really actually starts to truly matter and every single point is now as critical as it can be, it's just unraveling a little bit. So, long way to go on this map, but the start is not filling me with much confidence whatsoever, because none of the rounds and none of the sites have been particularly close, and INVICTUS some of their positions that they're holding are not extravagant, they're not crazy, they're not unseen, yet they are doing it with such force and such confidence in themselves that WILDCARD simply can't match at the moment.
Yeah. Credit to Nate, 5 and 2. There's probably been some pressure on his position in this roster. A lot of people look at IG as this sort of powerhouse team put together, and I've seen comments on Reddit and such that Nate's not quite pulling his weight on the team at the moment, and I guess if you actually go and look at the stats, the stats do kind of ring true to that, but having a very good game here and sort of highlighting what he is capable of, what his team is capable of when they are firing on all cylinders. WILDCARD, though, again, this is the kind of lineup, though, with Cairo on the Nook. They need to clear out these roamers below, over towards the kitchen area, along with security, try and find a couple of kills, and find an avenue of success through that way. And it's basically what's just happened. He finds the kill onto Jigsaw, and he might get another one as well. Pre-spray over towards Hysterics inside of security, and this was why Cairo is their best entry player.
Oh, the timing there. Almost thought Cairo would get the second as Hysterics briefly looks away. So low on HP. A stray nade could find him, but he survives the first and gets a keeper barrier out just to delay a little bit more time. It is important that WILDCARD from this favorable position do convert. Ideally, just get rid of Hysterics, and a 5v3 on site will be extremely favorable for the execute.
Yeah, not just that, but you also get White Stairs control. So more avenues towards site, plus the two-player advantage. It's almost assured victory at that point, barring a collapse. Now, Hysterics does get away, stays alive, drops security hatch, and he can actually basically rotate to wherever he wants to at this point, and that does throw a spanner in the works now for WILDCARD, who have to contend with a roaming Hysterics for the remainder of this round. It also means Kairo's not set. Where's he going to stay? And it's Nate that finds a big kill onto Pat, takes out the Maverick. One back the other way. Trades happening now on site. Cairo still playing, hunting the player. He gets Nate this time. Now it's WILDCARD with the player advantage. Hysterics, who was still roaming, low on health, can't deny plant. Should get the free kill there and does not get the planter though, and OJ, who stands up, finds the kill, and WILDCARD find a much needed round win.
Yeah, that was a lot better there from WILDCARD because there were some pretty serious threats there off site. Yes, Hysterics was low, but still could have maybe found one on the flank. And then you had Nate as well, who did find a kill, but was traded. So WILDCARD were really quickly, and Cairo in particular, really quickly able to identify those threats, shut them down, and in the midst of all that chaos, they were able to also make their way in towards site, get that diffuser planted. So a significant improvement there from WILDCARD, and as we know, 3 rounds in the first half if you're on the attack, not too shabby. It's something you can work with. So it is important that INVICTUS don't let up here, and they'll know that. They don't need us to say it.
Again, it kind of highlights the one-dimensionalness in terms of finding entry kills for WILDCARD, especially on a site like Oregon. You look at Pat, -6, Milo, -2, OJ, -2, Vincier, +0. So basically, net nothing. It's only Cairo at +2, and of course, when we go back and look at that round in a nutshell, what kickstarted it? Cairo entry down below, clearing out the roamers around kitchen and security. That basically set up the round to be won for WILDCARD. So that's the win condition essentially on full display for WILDCARD. Now you look at a site like Laundry Supply, and you think, okay, what do WILDCARD need to do to find success here? And again, it kind of just feels like it falls onto Cairo to find entry frags to open up the site. If INVICTUS go for a roam play above in any way, shape or form, and they get picked off, it's probably going to be from Cairo or Molosca, of course, playing the Jackal.
Doesn't look like, at least from what we saw at the top down as the prep phase came to an end, that there would be a roam. And all 5 players in or around side, only a single one, just a little bit astray. That's Nate on the stairs, probably drone hunting. That's honestly a pretty good read there from INVICTUS. They won this site once with a roam. They're not going to continually attempt it. It also does, I guess, somewhat counter Molosca, right? Because that util now is not essentially useless, but it's going to be a lot limited in its impact. Smokes will be helpful and can get confirmation that the roam is in fact clear, but in terms of hard hunting down a player off site, obviously it's not going to be an option.
Yeah, but I guess it's confirmation, and like you said, right, that the roam is not happening, and it means that they can push in, open up security hatch, open up the meeting hatch, get through that checklist, and that's having the Jackal allows you to have a little bit of confidence in that you can push through quickly and then open things up, have a little bit more time. As long as you use that time to your advantage. I mean, nothing annoys me more than seeing teams basically get through their checklist and they're done. There's like a minute left and they just do nothing for 40 seconds. So that's going to be the next step in the process for WILDCARD.
Cairo, who entered all the way on the other side of the map, has snaked his way now towards rear stage, and posting up your finger on this pillar position is very powerful. He'll have grenades to clear a player if there is one there, and the LMG to hold down the line as well will be strong. Milo drones ahead to try and facilitate Cairo, who is stalled out by that smoke canister. It's Hysterics playing that Tarps position. He gets aggressive off of that one and now tucks himself in the corner. Very, very cheeky here from IG.
Has he just gone prone in the middle of bunker? This is a strange position here from Vincere. Prone to a swing pretty susceptibly. Oh. Flash, smoke on one side. Timing. He's pinched though. Vincere should know that. He gets dropped anyway. You knew he was pinched. Milo gets the trade. A little bit of help on that smoke blocking off elbow. OJ just pushing into Freezer. Hasn't cleared out Nate. Nate can just stand up and swing, find an easy kill. That'll clear out Freezer. That'll stall out this attack. 24 seconds time has elapsed as well.
I don't think WILDCARD can convert, and it's because of that. But it's a good trade from Cairo. Don't know how he managed to find that one, but Milo as well.
They got sight.
The momentum flips once more. Speakeasy with the shotgun could pose a threat in bunker, but if the plant gets secured, it could be a very different story. He's shut down, and now it's Jigsaw. So sharp, but not sharp enough for that.
I'm just watching Cairo trying to watch 3-4 different angles, just moving constantly. You can see how much work he's doing there from that position at pillar to just watch so many different angles as to where that last play is going to come from. And yeah, it does it really, really well. Big round for WILDCARD, but you could see the way in which they approached that round, almost piece by piece. The Jackal clears out the roam game. Okay, we can go in, we can open up hatches. What do? They drone bunker. Okay, from there they reposition. They've got backstairs, they've got bunker, they've got control. The only thing that was a little bit iffy was the freezer push from OJ without clearing out Nate by himself. Fortunately, Cairo got the trade anyway, but that was probably the only piece where things could have unraveled and could have gone really bad for them. But other than that, so much cleaner, so much better from WILDCARD. That's what we come to expect from this current iteration of WILDCARD, and that's what we got there. And a good way to close out this half now. 2-3 score, we go into round 6, we go back downstairs to basement. WILDCARD have shown that they can crack this open and find success here. And it's the Molosca and Cairo show, no surprise.
IG exchange out the FO12 now for the M870 on Mentalist, so the shotgun meta will continue here for IG.
Attackers are moving out to locate
Well, these players have shown that it can do quite a bit of damage. As Jigsaw now roams. Now, don't mind this. I'm going to cut down the drones and try and slow down the entry from Cairo, who entered this same exact position last round. Question will be, does WILDCARD know that Jigsaw is here?
Yeah, repeating sight, obviously, here for IG, suggesting they're going to do something a little bit differently. Play a small tower, play over towards kids' dorms. Like, you know, when we look at the last round in a nutshell, it was 5 on site immediately from the get-go. And I think they've realized, okay, we allowed them to just clear the entire building way too quickly, gave them way too much time, way too much space, didn't really get anything from them, didn't get them to use utility. But you're also then playing into the Jackal, right? So how much do you really commit to a roam game here with Milo on the board with the Inox scanner? So that's something that you got to keep in mind.
Certainly the case. Vinny does have control inside of this second floor, and the skeleton key can help in maybe flushing out some of these positions down below, but for the most part it's a stronghold inside of meeting. With that attic hatch reinforced, that could be tough to clear. Pat could come across with ex-Kairos, but he's going to start bleeding time. As well as those keyboard barriers protecting Hysterics, it's going to be quite a challenge here for WILDCARD if they want to take it head on, but realistically they don't have too many options unless they commit to some sort of lobby push where that hatch drop might not be as much of a threat. With only 75 seconds remaining, WILDCARD need to think quick about exactly what they want to do here.
And for reference, it was probably at about this point in the last round where WILDCARD were already setting up that bunker push, right? So you can see the difference. With a minute left, they still haven't even got meeting control. Hysterics is still pushing and moving around. Now, he was always going to find that kill. OJ caught off guard by the off-meta angle here by Hysterics, who's just playing this so well. But he's pinched at this point. They know where he is. Oh, but they just keep pushing in one by one. Milo went a bit early. Pat was fortunately there, timed well for the trade. But boy, they've lost a lot of time. They're down a player. The response from INVICTUS off the back of that 5th round has been impeccable here in the 6th. 30 seconds left.
They're doing a much tougher round to bring back. Hatch is only now just getting opened up, so it might be a freezer through lobby. Maybe one player goes to the back, but either way, INVICTUS should be able to lock out this site, and Nate gets one more.
Ooh. Nate's got a bit of a heater. He gets the double kill, goes to 9 and 5, and helps INVICTUS close out the half with a bit of help from Mentalist. And they do repeat basement, and this time they find success. Second go round. So 4-2 half defensively for IG. Job done, realistically, when it comes to Oregon. Kind of scoreline you would expect from a defending team. Wildcard, well, they showed us a little bit in that first half. It's not all doom and gloom. It wasn't the worst gameplay that we've seen. I thought they actually tried something, right? Like, it's always nice to see teams attempt. Even if you want to question things like the Amaru play, you can question it. It didn't work, but it can work. And they tried it, and they didn't go into their shells. And I think that's where you got to give them some credit. But credit and honorable losses don't get you to majors. So Wildcards need to shape up a little bit here on the defense. And I think at this point now, and probably what they've done the last couple of rounds, play a little bit more stock standard siege, back themselves in, and really try and control the game.
Speak easy, selecting sends heading into this round for the basement push, and if you look at across the defensive lineup, not a bad shout. The most serious counter really here to using those ROU gadgets and creating those walls of light is probably going to be the single BPC from Cairo. The defense has no impact charges to destroy those walls, no Maestro, for example, to see through them either. So that's going to be a very interesting dynamic. As I say that, though, he does switch off. So unfortunately, we won't actually see it played out. But it's a good switch at that. They bring the line, they read into the roam that's been set up here by Wildcard, and they want to try and deal with it.
My magnets will protect us. You can worry less about
Yeah, I am curious to see sort of how INVICTUS are going to play this in comparison to what we saw from Wildcard. Do they go for somewhat of a similar approach in their mindset? Do they bring something to the table here to try and put Wildcard off balance? And you know, already the dock could be having an impact, but it's the impact that goes away for IG. Calls go out, and then the push from INVICTUS off the back of that nets them the opening kill. And this is something that INVICTUS should generally be considered good at, is finding these entry picks, finding these kills. There's another one courtesy of Hysterics, and Cairo does get one back, keeps the round alive. But yeah, Jigsaw +4, Speak Easy +2, Nate +2. They're a good team on the entry, and that could be the difference in this match of Oregon.
Yeah, stark contrast to the entries we saw from Wildcard on similar roams. IG with a very commanding presence there quite early on in the round. The isolation of OJ was really nice, and then the flick onto Milo as well was really good. Credit to Cairo, that was a really nice trade back, but it's going to be hard to salvage the round. Wildcard will need to make some really big plays here. IG have a minute 20 to work with. A lot of time, a lot of control, the man advantage for basement defense, but Cairo, top white stairs, could make or break the round for Wildcard. Just needs to be patient, find his window of opportunity to bring it back here for the defense and hope that he doesn't get spotted.
Oh, and that's the fuser. That's the fuser as well, outside security in the hallway. 55 seconds, so plenty of time, but it's still a player that has to go and collect it. And Cairo, watch all the timing. It would have been a free kill, guys, a free kill.
A lot of pressure though, and they still need to be mindful of that roam. But Jigsaw, a perfect grenade. His grenade play, this stage has been amazing, but Pat stepping up
Cairo
when needed, and Cairo now back on the flank.
Wow.
But Jigsaw switched on a big round.
That's what beautifully that we get this camp. He is expecting it immediately. Knows where Cairo was, knows where he's coming. The game sense from Jigsaw and INVICTUS, impeccable. And they take a 5-2 commanding lead here on Oregon as we head to kids' dorms. once again, this time in the 8th round. And Wildcard, man, you said it perfectly. It was make or break for Cairo over towards White Stairs. And yet, while he made the play, it still did not translate into a round win for Wildcard. The little things, the little 50-50 battles definitely falling the way of Invictus here. And as much as I don't really want to put players on blast, Vincia 1-7. He's of course been in tremendous form, guys, over the last, I want to say, almost 2 months. But this game has been one to forget. The kind of game where you just don't get to shoot, you just don't get to play. You're just getting picked off too easy, too early. It just hasn't been your kind of game. If there's a way back for Wildcard, it's Vinny finding some form here.
Yeah, that's who I'm looking at here. If Vinny isn't able to activate in this game, it's over. Because we have seen his ability to almost transform Wildcard in the last month or two, where he steps up and alleviates so much pressure from Cairo, from Milo, who aren't expected to have a strong round every single time. They can relax a little bit more. But Cairo's going to double down, and so is Milo. You can see from where they're preparing here, in powerful positions, big tower, trophy into master bedroom. So the pressure is still on these two players to continually perform. Cairo spotted out on drones as well, so he's going to be under a lot of pressure here. And much like the last round, if Cairo falters here or can't fulfill his potential on this roam, unfortunately, it might fall apart for the rest of the team.
What's beautiful for Invictus is, you know, you're kind of winning this game without Jigsaw going completely nuclear, without Speakeasy having a massive game either. I mean, statistically, your two best players on the team right now are not leading the way. It's actually Nate and it's Hysterics that are leading the way. And I think that's big signs for Invictus from a team perspective, that they're not overly reliant on just one or two players. It's meant to be a super team, so everyone needs to be super. And right now in this game, they are playing that way. Wildcard need to respond, otherwise what started off as a great stage may come crumbling down. They have Elevate in Playday 5. That is a top-of-the-table Elevate now. And they will not be favorites in that game, so you need to respond here in the 8th round. Get some rounds on the board. Make this closer.
Getting a pretty good start for IG. Good map control, good pressure, and the wall open. Milo was forced back and now pinched by the window of Hal and the door behind him, so he's in a really awkward spot. Cairo can cover from up above in attic, so it's not awful, but it is a bit of a pinch. Pressure alleviated, the swing. That's big from Milo. That's Nate Fallen, who's been so strong in this game, and the diffuser now on the ground.
Yeah, but get those keeper barriers out. You've got two of them just sitting there. There's only under a minute left. You don't want to be going down and not being able to utilize those, especially late rounders. IG are looking to push in. You can block off some really good positions. Lines of sight. Pat, though, up close with a shotgun, gets the big kill onto Jigsaw, throws out the gas babe, does not elect to use it just yet. And the swing, the push. Mentalist does just not care at all. Vinny and Pat fall. Moloska and OJ swing from Milo. In Dorms finds the kill. He's got 3 for the round. Gets the ping for the 4th. Should be able to find this one. The pistol, never mind. OJ steals it anyway. A little bit messy, but it's a round win nevertheless for Wildcard, and they desperately needed that.
Yeah, really big round there from Milo. Got the initial pick, an aggressive swing. He found himself in a pretty poor position, but IG didn't quite sniff him out and get that trade back, and then they were punished later on in that round. The other thing to note as well was Mentalist. Pat got a little bit unlucky there, right? He threw out the canister. He didn't use it immediately because the flames were still there, but Mentalist just said, stuff it. We need to find a kill. I'm just going to swing and see if I find something. He did, but ultimately just not quite enough, and Wildcard just tagging along in this one.
Is that great, though? He had another one in the back pocket, and there wasn't much time, guys. I think you throw that out, but you've just got to use it, right? You've got another one. There's not much time.
Yeah. I think logically you don't use it there, but in hindsight you do. It's just one of those really weird siege interactions, right? Where you're probably not expecting, I assume it was a full health thinker to just swing you. So, yeah, unfortunate for Pat, but I'm sure he'll keep that in the memory bank.
And Pat's playing well, though. For a support role player, 6 and 7, you take those kind of numbers. Big round from Milo. Didn't really see much from the actual keeper barriers, though. This will be the round for it. Didn't see Still just 1 and 8. But at this point, if they can find another round or two, this is the thing, that 1 and 8, yes, that's for the previous 8 rounds, 9 rounds including this. But going into the 10th round and the 11th round, it's like he's 0-0. That's the mindset you've got to have. If your team can get you to that point and you refine some of your form and the success that he's had as a player over the last couple of months, then something to keep in mind. Big opportunity here. It's actually pinged out in security. This is what I'm talking about. This kind of is the night that Vinci is having, but he gets away from that nade. Maybe it'll start to turn for him and for Wildcard. Historics does clear out security in a timely manner as well, mind you, and gets control of Freeze's stairs. All on site now for Wildcard.
Yeah, the drone work there just absolutely spot on from Invictus, and then the players to back up that information, apply pressure. A really good clear. Didn't have to use too much utility, and I think even more importantly, didn't have to use all that much time either, which is a big plus. Very calculated by IG, who now have control over towards the top of those freezer stairs, and Wildcard forced back towards the objective itself.
Only the one hard breach for Invictus, so a lot of work for Nate to do in opening up essentially all of these hatches. Of course, security left open for them, courtesy of Wildcard. So it's only lobby hatch and meeting hatch. Nate to open up, so a lot of time though. Minute 20. Can now start to turn their eyes over towards backstairs, even bunker. You can see Hysterics on your screen, making his way down there on the Finca. What do Wildcard have up their sleeve? This is the kind of site though, that those keeper barriers can make a big impact, especially over towards bunker, in terms of blocking off positions like elbow, backstairs. Minute left. Big round for Wildcard to keep 3 points alive for them. For Invictus, one more round away from match point.
Historics rounds bunker to try and get some pressure from there, and IG a full-on assault from all sides here onto Wildcard, who need to try their best to weather this storm. The hatch drop from Speak easy, and he gets that initial pick. That's big.
That's massive. Getting rid of a player like Molosca as well gives them the player advantage. 30 seconds and in on site practically. Cairo forced backwards. OJ now pushes up to the bomb chassis. Has a player just to his right-hand side. It's Nate with that diffuser in hand. Play over towards Pillar. Really can't see a whole lot either. Time, though, will be a factor, but Vince is on the ground. It's essentially a 3 versus 5 going into red time. They should know OJ's position. They heard him shoot, and now they swing together as one. Cairo now is the only one left remaining. Can he deny Nate? Not going to happen. Can't even take the player out at elbow. It's match point for Invictus Gaming. 1 round away from collecting all 3 points and leapfrogging Wildcard in the standings.
Yeah, when it comes to crunch time in this map as a whole, IG have just been more switched on. Getting that initial drop, getting the first pick, you set yourself up massively for success on that site. We then saw IG sort of enact a bit of a buddy system down the long hallway. They traded out site, and I mean, Cairo was in basically an unwinnable position there. So well done by IG. It's been the trend throughout this match so far, in these big moments, to just ensure that they're super clinical, really clean about the way in which they approach these rounds. And as much as we want to show our OS bias, Wildcard, I don't see them coming back from this one. IG now a serious contender for the top 2. Their chances don't go up hugely, and they still have to have a really good run for the rest of the stage, but no doubt
puts them in the conversation.
Yeah,
right?
It puts them in that conversation, and 3 points against a relatively strong Wildcard as well is really nice.
How about this, though? I'll frame it for you very quickly. The run home for IG. Chiefs, Fury, and then Direwolves in Playday 7. Achievable. Very achievable for IG. I could see them winning all 3 of those games. I could even see potentially that IG Direwolves match being a deciding match as well. Could you imagine? Final Playday, final game, final best of 1 to decide who goes to the major. That would be tantalizing. But we're not there yet. Match point. Wildcard have 3 rounds to try and send this one to overtime. But it just has not clicked for them. Vincia 1 and 9, OJ 2 and 7. It's been that kind of night where it hasn't really fallen their way. And while they have been a bit more competitive against IG in this game, it hasn't been much more competitive than their loss against the Knights in Playday 3. But it's Cairo that gets the opening kill. On to Speak Easy. The Kali taken off the board. And a reprieve here for Wildcard.
May now make opening up some of these walls a little bit more tricky for the attack. As Pat continues to try and hold down this kitchen hallway. And that's an angle as an attacker you probably don't want to be facing. IG with the decent setup, decent control. Over towards rear stage, but arguably that should basically be free anyway, so it's all about clearing Pat now. That's their next challenge.
Yeah, and just putting the pressure on him as well, forcing him to also make a move. Force him to make a mistake. Force him to try and make a play and then punish that. Pat, kind of player that would happily just swing this and he's tempted. He's tempted. He sees the nade go out. It's always the best time, isn't it? Got to time it so right. You got to hope no one else is watching. And look at Mentalist. If Pat swings, Mentalist gets the kill every time. Because Pat's not going to be looking at that doorway. He's going to be looking at the player on the wall. I think Mentalist pushes up and pushes in. Pat falls back. That's the right play. Not the flashy one. It doesn't get the highlight reel going, but it's the smart play.
It's the most calculated. He could have tried to hold his ground and risking another pick, but the percentage would have slanted against him. And instead he falls back, and now he can use those gas canisters later on into the round, which doesn't have long left. 45 seconds. Pat should be able to stall out a lot of time, but he's seeing white.
40 seconds. You've got to start getting those gas babes out, though. You've still got 3 of them. Deny the ability for them to just walk in. It's Cairo, though, again, who finds another kill. I think that might have been the corridor. Yeah, it was from Kitchen. 30 seconds still. I think maybe at this point, Pat committing to not giving away his position, feeling as if he could just swing here. Oh, the timing, no! You want your shotgun in that situation, not the gas bay. Pat throws the situation. Can they salvage it, though? Mentalist, now Kitchen Corridor, trying to fight with Cairo. They lost Miloska. It's fallen apart. Fallen by the wayside here for Wildcard, but maybe the young prodigy can salvage it. Cairo, he got them on the back of the head. Gets the kill onto Mentalist. He does salvage it. Hysterics has no time. No chance! Wildcard survive!
What a crazy round that was from the instance of that execute. Oh my word, even Cairo in the old chat, he can't believe what's just happened. Pat just caught off guard, and he will be reaping that. His heart would have dropped the second he pulls that out and gets jumped on. He knows he has just completely screwed his team, but they step back up in response. So many big plays. The flank from Cairo, who's absolutely on a heater. OJ as well helping out. That was intense.
But I don't understand the thought process. And I don't want to put this on to Pat for too much longer here, but of course, at that point, with so little time remaining, you've gone past the time of throwing out gas babes to deny. Just get the shotgun out. They probably don't even know you're there. If they do, you got the shotgun. Regardless, they survive. Cairo, big plays from Kitchen down the corridor, got the kill onto Mentalist. That allowed him to push forward and then swing into sight, get the kills that ultimately won them the round. And Cairo is the reason we are still going in this game. He's 12-7. He's gotten them the entry kills back when they were on the attack. He's gotten them the opening picks here on the defense, and he's getting the clutch kill. He's doing it all. He just needs a little bit of help.
Yeah, a bit of help would be nice. Obviously, it's great to see when a player steps up, but sometimes it can be an indication that the team is lopsided, and certainly the case so far on this one. And that round just breathes some life into this match. Of course, it would have been over had IG converted, but nonetheless, an exciting way for Wildcard to just stay within reach. But they can't get away with 50-50s like that forever. It will eventually slip if they do not tighten these defensive setups up. Defensive setups up? You get my point.
I think that's correct.
Tighten up these defensive setups. I should have just dropped the second half.
That's all right.
I'll improve. It's okay.
Is there a chance that Wildcard is slowly improving here round by round? Oh, that's not what you like to see if you're a Wildcard fan.
Oh, and I wonder, was that just a barricade bang? Was that a blind fire? Or was that calculated?
Well,
May have actually been the
shield.
upside... Well, it was an upside down rappel. I don't know if the shield was still standing at the time, but that's a really gnarly angle. So probably actually was well planned there by IG. And that's unfortunate for Miloska. That also means less discs out for the remainder of the round. And Look, I think at
There
this
goes your
point it might
smoke.
snowball, unless Vinny, 1 in 10, jumps out here and gets a pick or
Oh,
two.
this is...
Defender exposed.
Well, not bad. He got the kill in the end. I mean, at that point, I was just sitting with everyone and holding my breath to see what was about to transpire. But they were at that point. It was 3-5. They needed to make a play, and they do, courtesy of Vincier. And that might just be able to reignite his own form. Yes, he's low on health, still has the Nitro Cell, still able to play a position and defend. They just need to play for time now and then allow Cairo and OJ to play in the late game. Vinny going for a flank down below, might come up backstairs and then push in late from meeting side. No, could go lobby, could go anywhere from here.
Actually in a really good spot.
Oh, that's a... Okay,
Early Nitro, thought he might save that for later, but
Gemini.
nonetheless, Cairo in sight. Again, the pressure
down to Cairo.
on his shoulders. If Cairo wins these few engagements, Wildcard win the round. If he dies here, it's over.
Flash goes out. He should be in front of it. Is not quite. Still white, but not for long. He still got the kill anyway. Turns around 180, but it didn't help. Jigsaw got the kill. OJ, last one alive in a 1v3. Tag on a speakeasy. Finds the headshot to Mentala. Still alive. Still a chance. And has a ping onto the player inside of Attic as well. On one on site. Inside of Dorm. Now, he can't win that one, though, from below. It's Speakeasy who clutches up the win for Invictus. A little close for comfort in the end, but they'll take all 3 points. They go above Wildcard on the standings, and they just edge a bit closer to being able to fight for their position at the major.
Really good performance there from IG. We have been waiting to see some clinical siege from these guys, from the quote-unquote super team